Hey, how you doing? I'm Seth.
I'm Will.
We're here today. We're pretty excited about being here today.
We are.
Yep. I mean, not just because it's good to wake up every day, but we got some guests. These are the new Martin Logan XT B100 reference bookshelf speakers.
Yes, they are.
Yep. So we've been looking forward to these for a while. These are brand new. The old Martin Logan speakers we felt were amazing.
We did.
And we had actually, I don't know if you can see, but we have over here some of the Motion 60 XTI tower speakers. They were our best speaker for 2020.
Yeah.
And our best speaker, we make up best here, but best speaker for 2021,
Yes.
under 5,000 a pair. And all of us loved them. All of us loved the detail, the sound characteristics, the whole nine. Well, these are the new guys. And sometimes a redesign is great. Other times, like let's say the Nissan Pathfinder, that was a pretty bad redesign.
Yeah, it was. And Karate Kid Part 2 wasn't as
Not
good
as
as the
good
first
as, not
one.
as good as number one.
Yeah.
Yep. Jaws 4.
Jaws 4.
Don't even watch the thing.
Yeah.
Don't even watch this thing. Just punch yourself in the face for 2 hours as opposed to watching that.
Yeah, they digress
Equal joy.
instead of progressing. In this case, the B100 has impressed us quite
Yep.
well.
Yeah, we don't want to give away too much yet.
Yeah, not yet.
But here's what we're going to do. Let's talk about the technology, what's going on in these here boxes. We'll talk about our listening test and kind of what we heard out of these things. And then we'll do a sort of a summary.
Okay.
And sort of the pros and cons. There are some definite advantages, which we're going to talk about. A con or two, we'll talk about that. But first, we'll talk about the Gen 2 folded motion XT tweeter. So their tweeters have kind of been their claim to fame for a little while. Incredible detail in the past, very smooth yet accurate. And one of the things they're doing with these guys is they have controlled dispersion. So controlled dispersion means that 90 degrees this way, 45 degrees this way, they're giving you sound. So the benefit of that is if you have your regular dome tweeter, it gives you 180 degrees of sound.
Yes.
Problem with that is if you got hard surfaces, you got glass, you got windows, you got all kinds of stuff, kind of bounces sound around, you get reflections.
Yeah.
And that really cuts or introduces hey, what did the guy say? Sometimes it can be harsh for some people to listen to because you're just getting all these vibrations.
Yeah.
By these things really focusing that sound, it cuts down on reflections and refractions.
Yes.
And it can give you better sound.
Yeah.
One thing we noticed though was, and Danny, you mentioned this the other day, where some speakers that have that controlled dispersion, you really lose a lot when you get off axis. And he had mentioned, he's like, these things sound great over here. So
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Also, you've got with these guys your Nomex reinforced Kevlar woofer. It's a 6.5-inch driver with these. Kevlar's pretty cool.
It is. Yeah,
You
I
can
would
shoot
say
the
so.
speaker with a bullet
Yeah.
occasionally, and it'll be fine. I don't know if that would actually work. Works for bulletproof vests.
It does, and for a Halo, for a sport high-end sports cars too, it works on some performance parts.
Oh, I did not know that. You learn something new every day. Here's why it's good for speakers, though. Kevlar is very stiff,
Okay.
but when it comes to rest, so you got a bunch of crazy music going on, and then when that thing stops, it doesn't vibrate all over the place. So if it can come right to rest, you got no ring. And ring is what is a bad sound for speakers.
Yep.
Also, it's kind of a dampening material as well. So some materials like polypropylene, other plastics,
Okay.
inherently in that you get a bit of ring, where you
Yeah.
don't get that with Kevlar. So
Yeah, come a long way. Come from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, and the 80s to where they're using cardboard drivers. Now the Kevlar and the Obsidian folded motion tweeter.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like how they recessed the folded motion Gen 2 back and they contoured it kind of like a horn. So I'm sure the Martin Logan engineers had definitely had a reason for that, and it's tickling our ears pretty good.
Yeah, it is cool that when we call guys at Martin Logan, we can actually talk to the engineers and some of these guys, and so they're pretty dialed into what's going on.
They are.
You don't have these just separate entities that don't talk back and forth, and they take comments from people like us very seriously, and they incorporate it into their engineering, which is cool.
It is.
93 dB sensitive, 4 ohm. So you can push them with a lot of stuff that's out there. They're going to give you plenty of volume. They do better with power, but you don't need any sort of crazy amplification or whatever to make them happen. We played with them with our Parasound Halo stuff, which is very good stuff, but it's kind of their lower power. It's a basic Halo amp, 125 watts by 2. We've got a Yamaha receiver in back, the old 2050 that's pushing them, and that's a higher end receiver, but nothing crazy. So You don't got to invest $8,000 in electronics to push these things.
You don't.
Yep, which is nice.
It is.
And these guys, they rated 45 hertz to 25 kilohertz, so you get some decent bass out of them. We'll talk about that with our listening test. And about 20.5 pounds a piece. They don't come with the stands. Those are ours. Try not to drop them on your head or foot or other
No, that would hurt. And then, yeah, we normally do our tests and our reviews. We test them without a subwoofer just to see how good the speaker really is, because not everyone has space or room for a big subwoofer.
Yeah, and I'll cheat a little bit because we're going to talk about this listening test, but that was one of the things that when we tested it, I put on some of the old early 90s Late Night with Love jams.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of Shy going on.
There you go.
Had 112, band from back in the day, little Late Night with Love kind of stuff. Had some Jodeci. So we had some stuff with a lot of bass, and they produced.
Yeah, 112, where the players dwell.
There it is, yep. So it wasn't crazy bass where our lights up here were rattling, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it sounded really good. If you want crazy room vibrating bass, you're going to get subwoofer too. But they standalone, they weren't thin in any way. They sounded really good.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about some listening stuff. We have some oldie but goodie tracks that we listen to that we know kind of what it does from an imaging standpoint or instrumentation standpoint. And we had some new ones, and they're insane. I'm just going to tell you right now, these speakers are absolutely insane. So first we did oldie but goodie. We did Homeless by Paul Simon. And this was the live version where we got all the various creatures, crickets, apes, and things going on. And what really stood out to me was right away you get where a guy comes in, starting to do some hoo, or something like that. It's probably not very accurate after the track. But when gentleman is going hoo-ha, you get this depth. And just if your eyes are closed, it's a live version. You close your eyes, you're seeing the stage. It's crazy.
It is.
It's crazy how good these things image and give you depth.
Yeah, you could smell his breath. You could feel it. If you were to close your eyes, like Seth said, and I sprayed you with a spray bottle, you would think you were like in the first row and he was singing.
Yeah, I didn't get the smell part of it, but you might have better ears than I.
Yeah, I just had
to hear so well.
It sounded
you
good.
Even hear sense.
Yeah, the whole
amazing.
the 4D, the whole 4D theater thing.
So the next one we did was Fly Me to the Moon.
Love that track.
Yep. There was Frank Sinatra and his buddy Count Basie.
Oh, yeah.
And that track is great for imaging. Imaging being where you close your eyes, the speaker's in the right position, where you hear an instrument over here, you hear a vocalist right here. Your vocalist, if he's 5'7", seems like he's 5'7". Doesn't seem like he's 12 feet tall or 2 feet tall. And right with this first line, Fly Me to the Moon, it's dead center. And it's kind of magic, because if you took somebody that didn't know and you said, hey, this TV screen here is a speaker, and you played that track, it literally seems like it's coming right from here.
Yeah, like you're in a small venue, like the House of Blues. It's an intimate feeling you get when you're listening to a good speaker like the B100, and if you get lost in it and you get all that depth and layers and the imaging, it's amazing.
Yeah. So those were a couple of our oldie but goodies. We did some new ones. So we did Dave Brubeck Quartet, Take 5.
There we go.
And most people are into audio. They've heard Take 5, 5 million times. Geez, this track was good.
Yeah.
So right away you get a little bit of bass, and you get the piano that kicks in, and you feel, you close your eyes, you get the body of that piano and what you're hearing. Piano, what's a piano weigh? I have no idea. 1,200 pounds or something. You hear the 1,200-pound three-dimensional piano.
Oh yeah.
Right at 23 seconds, you get some dude, probably a dude, playing the clarinet, and it's just so accurate and lifelike. And actually, Danny's over here, he had mentioned like you could just hear the reed vibration.
Yeah, that was amazing.
It's insane. You don't hear that out of conventional speakers, and this is really the mark of a good speaker. And actually,
that was kind of like the moment where when you tell a joke and someone's drinking a drink, and then mid-joke they're laughing at the joke, water comes out their nose. When he mentioned the reed part of the track, the excitement he had in his eyes, I was like, whoa, yeah.
It was fired up because it was magic. And that, for me, you mentioned sound is subjective. For me, the mark of a good speaker is when the speaker itself disappears, and where you hear something like, man, that's a drum. Man, those are vocals. That's what these things do completely with all this content we've listened to. They're amazing.
They are.
We then listened to a bit of Ark. Ark was a prog rock band from the early 2000s where it had 4 of the best musicians out there, a vocalist named Jorn Lande, who's pretty ridiculous.
Okay.
Fortunately, I think they had a lot of egos because he's been in like 10 bands and that only lasts for a little while.
Yeah.
But amazing stuff. They have a song called Resurrection, and it's got just crazy, hard prog rock stuff. And at 150, you get a lot of snare drum and cymbals.
Yeah.
And they are drums and cymbals. What you're hearing, it's a drum, it's a cymbal. It doesn't sound like you're in your car, you turn on some drums, oh, those are drums, and they're kind of fuzzy and 2-dimensional. These were 3-dimensional, you're hearing the stick hit the drum.
Yeah, I love me a good hi-hat, a good snare, a good cymbal.
These do too.
Yeah, yeah, and the accuracy of them are dead on. Yeah, just I like to call it a hiss, but the feeling the tickling that my ears were getting, or it pulled
it's
me
that
in.
resonance. Like when it hits, you're getting the resonance of that 3-dimensional instrument. And then there's a band called Covet, which they're kind of called prog rock, but they're sort of lighter, sort of jazzy kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But not many vocals. They have a song here and there. The vocals, those aren't that hot. But their instrumentation stuff is amazing, and they do all sorts of different styles. Okay. They have a track called Nero, which if you're into that stuff, I would listen to it. It's an amazing track. But right at 2:30 and on in that track, that's where all of the musicians start going crazy.
Oh, wow.
And these are just picking up every detail, every instrument. It's painting a whole picture of that stage. Geez, these sound good.
Yeah.
These sound just incredible. So that was kind of our listening test. I mentioned also we threw in the Late Night with Love stuff to kind of see what kind of bass we'd get out of it. And the bass is really good. Again, if you want super deep bass, you're going to add a sub or two to these things. But standalone, I have a place in my house where I've got a higher level that goes over a fireplace.
Okay.
And that's where just a set of bookshelves. There's not really room for a sub or whatever.
Right.
So I like the idea of having bookshelves that are larger as opposed to like a little smaller guy like this guy. You can't get a ton of bass out of this because of cabinet size. These things give you a lot of bass out of a relatively small package.
Yeah, they have the rear firing port, 5-way binding posts for bi-amping, bi-wiring. So I'm going to space them 6-8 inches away from the wall. You should be good for your bass.
Yep. So let's go over the pros and cons of these things.
Let's do it.
Pros. Do we need to say more? They're incredible.
Yeah.
They're incredible. These should be on your short list, if even a list. Just sign me up. I want these speakers. They come in black, white, gloss white, and walnut.
Yeah. The stands.
What did we do to you to deserve this? Right in the middle of every one of our videos.
They did it again.
Dude, they're ridiculous.
Yeah, they didn't use a probe this time.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, you were talking about stands?
Yeah, the stands, they have the matching stands with color trim, interchangeable color trim pieces. They're $199 each. It'd be nice to match it up with your B100. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, you can't really beat that.
Well, and I would say that if there's any con at all to these things, which is cons to lots of things in life.
Of course.
Treble runs a little hot on these, so a little bit bright.
Okay.
Meaning that, let's say if you're super flat speaker, super flat sound guy or gal, you might find where you turn that treble down just a touch. So when I first started listening to these things, I came in, I know where our settings were at. Listen, I'm like, man, that sounds a little bit bright. So I looked first at our preamp, and when it goes from, basically 0 is flat, it goes to -10, +10, and you can adjust your treble and bass. We had them both at +2. So I'm like, that's why it's brighter than I thought it was. But I ended up turning the treble down to flat.
Okay.
And to my ear, that was kind of the best sound. So there are where some speakers have a really smooth characteristic, these have a touch of that treble that stands out a bit. So for some people that can be a con, but just use your either room calibration software built into your receiver, or just like we did here, manually turn things down to taste.
I have a confession to make.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who turns up the treble, and it's funny because I like clockwork. I always see you go up to the amp, and I kind of chuckle.
These aliens or what was going up, but I'll do it. Yep.
Guilty as charged.
Yep. So people hear things differently.
I mean that's proof right there.
Yep. But and then the other con, which is just very subtle, and I probably shouldn't even bring up. But so these guys have grills, and you can put the grill on or off these things. Speakers do sound better without grills. These actually be a decent frisbee. Yeah. I saw you just doing that right there. But so anyway, when you push these grills in, they make a little tiny indentation on this surround. Now it's actually not the speaker surround that it's making the dent on, but just this little, I don't know, grill holder surround, whatever it is. So anyways, if you were to always reposition in a certain way, at a certain point years from now, you'd have 96 little dents around the side, but no one would ever notice them, especially if the grills are in place. That's, again, I shouldn't even call that a con. It's a very, very subtle con. But
it's just different. Yeah, before they had the magnetics on the XTI previous year, so maybe they wanted to show off the whole cabinet, so they're like, hey, let's just put a little, literally, driver cover.
Yeah, I think they look great.
I love them.
But I'm sold. I'm sold. These are fantastic. I wish I had more than 2 hands. I'd probably be a great receiver or something like that in the NFL if I had like 6 arms. Or boxer.
Definitely. Oh, there we go.
Fantastic boxer if you had 6 arms.
Yeah, what was the guy from Mortal Kombat, the boss that you had to fight at the end?
I never really played. That was before. I'm a Pac-Man guy. Pac-Man, Scrambler, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Dragon's Lair. That was a good one. But anyways, enough of old 80s video games. So thank you very much for stopping by. Please subscribe. When we get to 1,000 subscribers, we're actually going to make our first $1.
Yeah.
We'll go out to lunch.
Yeah. Yeah. We're making the videos for people watching them, if they're for the couple few that are watching out there. But yeah, we're not.
Please subscribe. We're almost there.
Subscribe, like it does help.
It's time for a free lunch.
Yeah,
we'll get a free lunch.
Love it. Maybe a Western bacon cheeseburger would be awesome.
Fantastic.
Crisp cut fries.
Crisp cut fries. Yeah. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.